walked in like midnight, wearing someone else's sin. Boots tapping out a warning, but I still let her in. Her eyes were burning amber, her smile a crooked line, and every man who saw her felt the pull of her decline. She had a whiskey on her shadow, danger on her breath, a promise in her whisper that could tempt a man to death. I knew she'd leave me ruined, but I stayed there anyway, 'cause some fires burn you slowly, and some burn you all the way. She said she missed the thunder of my engine in the rain. Said she missed the way I held her when she couldn't hold her pain. I should have walked away then, but I never learned to run. Not from her, not from the darkness, not from what we had begun. She had whiskey on her shadow, danger on her breath, a promise in her whisper that could tempt a man to death. I knew she'd leave me ruined, but I stayed there anyway, 'cause some fires burn you slowly, and some burn you all the way. She touched my hand so softly like a ghost that knew my name, and I felt that old desire rising up like smoke and flame. The jukebox played a heartbreak, low and worn like rust, and she leaned in close enough to stir the ashes of my trust. Her fingers traced my knuckles like she owned the right to stay, and I felt the years between us slowly melt away. She had whiskey on her shadow, danger on her breath, a promise in her whisper that could tempt a man to death. I knew she'd leave me ruined, but I stayed there anyway, 'cause some fires burn you slowly, and some burn you all the way. She walked out into the darkness, boots fading in the dust, left me standing in the doorway with a heart I couldn't trust. But the night had lit a fuse in me I couldn't let go, and I followed where her shadow told me I should go. I kicked the engine over, let the thunder drown my doubt, left the neon and the memories as the highway opened out. Her sin was on my jacket, her voice still in my ear, saying mercy ain't for men like you, but I still kept her near. Black leather mercy wrapped around my bones, a woman like a warning, a road that feels like home. I ride to kill the longing, but it follows close behind. Black leather mercy tangled in my mind. The night was thick with secrets, the moon a crooked grin, and every mile I traveled felt like crawling back to sin. But the road don't judge a rider, it just takes him as he is. And I carried all her shadows like they always had been his. Black leather mercy wrapped around my bones, a woman like a wanted, a road that feels like home. I'll ride to kill the longing, but it follows close behind. Black leather mercy tangled in my mind. Highway signs were glowing like they knew where I belonged, and every mile behind me felt like proof I'd had it wrong. Her ghost rode on my shoulder, whispering soft and low, telling me the things I swore I'd never let her know. If mercy ever found me, it'd be in her reckless grin, in the way she held my demons like she'd learned to let them in. And I kept the throttle steady, though the night was wearing thin, chasing down the echo of the man I might have been. Yeah. I hit the throttle hard enough to make the night unwind, chasing down the silence that keeps clawing at my spine. But every curve I leaned into, every shadow that I passed, still carried her reflection like a ghost inside the glass. I'm a redline sinner, burning through the dark, trying to outrun the memory of her mark. But the faster that I'm flying, the clearer she becomes, a fire in the distance that I'm always running from. The wind was like confession, tearing secrets from my lips, and the road kept whispering her name between the dips. I swore I'd leave her behind me, but desire's a wicked thing. It clings like smoke and leather, like a tattoo on your skin. And I'm a redline sinner, burning through the dark, trying to outrun the memory of her mark. But the faster that I'm flying, the clearer she becomes, a fire in the distance that I'm always running from. but she keeps pulling harder than the red line ever climbs. The white lines blurred like memories I tried to leave behind, but every thought of her came back sharp enough to blind. The engine screamed forgiveness, but my heart refused to hear, caught between the hunger and the things I still held dear. I slowed down near the canyon where the night begins to bend, wondering if the road would break me or just circle back again. But the fire in my chest said the truth I couldn't spin. I'd always be a sinner when it came to her and sin. She found me in a graveyard where the bikers used to meet, sitting on a headstone with the moonlight at her feet. She smiled like she was trouble, like she'd ruined me for fun, and I knew right then I'd follow her until the night was done. She tastes like graveyard honey, sweet with a bite, a kiss that feels like danger, wrapped in candlelight. I know she'll be the downfall. I can't rise above, but I keep going back to her, drowning in her love. She said she liked my silence, said she liked my scar, said she liked the way I looked at her like she was made of stars. But stars can burn you hollow, leave you empty in the end, and loving her was something no sane man could defend. She tastes like graveyard honey, sweet with a bite, a kiss that feels like danger, wrapped in candlelight. I know she'll be the downfall. I can't rise above, but I keep going back to her, drowning in her love. Danced between the headstones with the moonlight in her hair. She laughed like she was fearless, like she didn't have a care. But I saw the cracks beneath her, saw the shadows in her grin, and I knew that loving her meant letting darkness in. If sweetness has a price tag, hers was carved in bone. But I paid it without thinking, just to not be alone. And even now I taste her in the smoke of every night, a sweetness dipped in sorrow, a wrong that felt so right. She ran her fingers down the tank, slow as dripping tar. Said she loved the way the chrome looked on her dying star. Her touch was like a promise, her breath a whispered dare, and I felt the world fall silent as she tangled in my hair. Chrome and sand, pulling me in, a fire in her eyes where the darkness began. She said the road ain't the only thing calling tonight, and I followed her shadow into the fading light. Her lips were warm with whiskey, her hands were cold as steel, and every move she made was something dangerous to feel. I knew she'd break me open, knew she'd tear me from within, but I still let her ride me like the storm she carried in. Chrome and sand, pulling me in, a fire in her eyes where the darkness begins. She said the road ain't the only thing calling tonight, and I followed her shadow into the fading light. If sin could be a woman, she'd be standing in that glow, with leather on her body and a heart I'll never know. She pressed her body to me like the night was closing in, said the world was full of liars, but I was built for sin. Her breath was warm and wicked, her heart beat wild and free, and I felt the road grow jealous of the way she clung to me. We rode until the sunrise painted fire on her skin, two silhouettes of trouble wrapped in chrome and sin. And though I knew the daylight would expose the truth again, I still held on to her like she was worth the ruin. Grew heavy on me like a weight I couldn't lift, and the road ahead was twisting like a long forgotten rift. I whispered to the darkness, hoping someone might be there, but the only thing that answered was a midnight rider's prayer. Take this burden from my shoulders, take this fire from my chest, let the road be my confession, oh, let the night forgive the rest. I'm a man who's lost his footing, but I'm trying to be fair, so I whisper to the silence my midnight rider's prayer. Kept burning like a lantern in the rain, a flicker in the distance that kept calling out my name. I didn't want to need her, didn't want to feel her pull, but desire's a stubborn creature when your heart ain't ever full. Take this burden from my shoulders, fading slowly as the night began to thin, and I wondered if redemption ever let a man back in. But the wind kept pushing forward like it knew the path ahead, and I followed out of habit, chasing things I'd left for dead. If the night could heal the broken, I'd be whole before the dawn. But the darkness only listens, then it tells you to ride on. Still I whisper to the silence, hoping someone heard my plea. A midnight rider's prayer for the man I used to be. She found me at a truck stop where the neon buzzed like flies. Said she'd been chasing after me beneath the empty skies. Her smile was soft and wicked, her touch a velvet rope, and I felt myself unravel like a man who's lost his hope. If you're gonna burn me, baby, slow. Let the fire take its time, so I never let go. I don't want salvation, don't wanna be free. Just burn me slow. If you're gonna burn me. She kissed me like a secret, like a sin she had to hide, and I let her pull me under like a wave I couldn't ride. Her body was a warning, her breath a whispered plea, and I knew I'd lose myself if she kept holding on to me. If you're gonna burn me, baby, burn me slow. Let the fire take its time, so I never let go. I don't want salvation, don't wanna be free. Just burn me slow. If you're gonna burn me. She held me like a secret, like a truth she couldn't speak, and I felt the world fall quiet, felt my defenses grow weak. Her touch was slow destruction, her kiss a steady flame, and I let her burn right through me as she whispered out my name. If you're gonna burn me, baby, burn me slow. Let the fire take its time, so I never let go. I don't want salvation, don't wanna be free. Just burn me slow. If you're gonna burn me. When the morning found us tangled in the ashes of the night, she traced the scars she'd given me in the fading amber light, and I knew I'd let her do it all again before I'd go. If she's gonna burn slow. beside me, silent, like a shadow made of light. Her hair a wild halo in the middle of the night. She looked like something holy, but her smile said otherwise. And I felt the world grow smaller when I stared into her eyes. She's got a hellbound halo and a ride that screams. A woman born of fire and outlaw dreams. I chase her through the darkness, though I know I shouldn't stay. But a man like me ain't built to turn away. She said the road was freedom, said the night was ours to take, said desire was a promise only fools would try to break. And I believed her fully, like a sinner trusts a flame, knowing damn well in the morning I'd have no one else to blame. She's got a hellbound halo and a ride that screams. A woman born of fire and outlaw dreams. I chase her through the darkness, though I know I shouldn't stay. But a man like me ain't built to turn away. She rode ahead in silence, just a shadow on the wind. And I followed like a sinner, chasing something to resent. Her laughter cut the darkness like a blade that knew my name. And I felt myself surrender to the hunger and the flame. She's got a hellbound halo and a ride that screams. A woman born of fire and outlaw dreams. I chase her through the darkness, though I know I shouldn't stay. But a man like me ain't built to turn away. If angels fall to earth, they fall in leather and in sin. And she's the kind of falling I keep letting in. Her halo burn like wildfire, her touch a wicked brand. And I'd follow her to hell just to feel her take my hand. We stopped beside a canyon where the wind was cold and thin, and she looked at me like someone who'd been running from her skin. She said the night was ending, said the dawn would break us both, said desire ain't a promise, just a temporary oath. Dust and desire blowing through the night, two broken souls tangled in fading light. We meet where the darkness and the hunger lie. Dust and desire, your heart and mine. Well, I told her I would follow, told her I would stay. stay. But she shook her head and whispered, "You'll regret it come the day." Still I reached out for her fingers, felt her tremble in my hand, and I knew that what we had was something neither could withstand. Dust and desire blowing through the night, two broken souls tangled in fading light. We meet where the darkness and the hunger align. Dust and desire. Oh, heart, your heart and mine. The sky was turning silver as the night began to fade, and she looked at me like someone who was scared of what we'd made. I reached to pull her closer, but she stepped into the breeze. Said desire's just a moment that can bring a man to his knees. We stood there in the quiet where the dawn begins to rise, two silhouettes of longing under pale and honest skies. And though she walked away, then I still felt the old desire. Dust on my jacket and her name still in the fire. Some loves burn too brightly, some loves fade too fast, but ours was made of moments never meant to last. She climbed on behind me like a secret I once knew, wrapped her arms around me as the sky turned pale and blue. The night was nearly over, but the fire wasn't gone, and I felt her heartbeat steady as I kicked the engine on. She's the devil's passenger, holding tight to me, a shadow on my shoulder I may never set free. But the road is wide and waiting, and the dawn is drawing near, with the devil's passenger whispering in my ear. She said she didn't want saving, said she didn't want peace, said the only thing she needed was a ride that wouldn't cease. And I knew I'd pay the price for letting her stay close, but some men choose the fire over what they fear the most. She's the devil's passenger, holding tight to me, a shadow on my shoulder I may never set free. But the road is wide and waiting, and the dawn is drawing near, with the devil's passenger whispering in my ear. The sunrise hit her softly, painted gold across her skin, and I felt the weight of choices pulling tight from deep within. She whispered that the daylight never suited men like me. Said the night was where we lived, where our shadows could run free. We rode into the morning with the world still waking slow. Two sinners chasing daylight like we had nowhere to go. And though I knew the cost of letting her stay near, I kept the devil's passenger right there, whispering in my ear. If sunrise is redemption, then I guess I'll ride on through, 'cause the devil's on my back and she's beautiful as you. Yeah, 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 yeah. And she's beautiful as you.